My sister said, I just don't understand why Baldoni, who worked on the film for years, would suddenly SH someone. What's the motive? That's delightful.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. Because, you know, he probably didn't have a motive necessarily. He probably had a habitual problem. He probably had an, you know, when I was working with Anthony Robbins, he teaches like a lot of neurolinguistic programming, and then they have like these like sort of like levels of consciousness that go all the way up into unconscious competence. And unconscious competence is the kind of competence that where you've done things so many times and so well for so long that you don't even have to think about doing it anymore. It comes completely naturally to you. You can carry on conversations. It's kind of like what happens as you start out as a student driver and you're white knuckle gripping the 10 and 2, and you're just like, you won't take your eyes off your mirrors. And if somebody talks to you, you tell them to like slow down or shut up because you got to concentrate. Cut to 10 years later, and you got a cigarette in one hand, a beer in the other, and you're steering with your fucking knee, and you're talking about the movie you just watched last night, while you're watching another one on your dash.
Yeah.
Unconscious competence. I think that Justin Baldoni, is unconsciously competent at being a misogynist. I think his misogyny is even deeper than he realized when he thought that he could just whitewash it really quickly through a couple of TED Talks and a podcast and a bunch of admissions. But instead, he's, I think, coming face to face with the reality that his misogyny is a deep-seated problem for him, one that went deeper than he might have first wanted to admit or cared to admit.
Here's my take on it. I feel like this guy probably went through his entire life trying to fit in and trying to say the most clever, maybe provocative thing in his friend group. Okay. He talks a lot about his insecurity about fitting in with people in his memoir all throughout his childhood. It's like an issue for him. So I think this guy just developed this way that he feels like he's gotten great rewards socially for like admitting to things, like divulging things, like confessing to things. Right. And then they're like, oh, you're so brave for talking about this issue that's usually taboo and that we don't usually talk about. What he's doing is like admitting to having harmed people, but like, you know, he wants to be better and he wants to do better. He also is reflected a lot in his therapy. He's like engages with therapy a lot, and in his religion too. He's got this prayer group that's always mirroring back to him about how he's actually a good person, regardless of what situation he's in, that he's protected and he's good. Yeah, we
hear Jamie Heath doing it in Men Enough podcasts.
Yes. So
and he's got this. Of Jimmy Heath, in case you don't know, Jimmy Heath and Justin Baldoni and Steve Surowitz all come from the same religious organization called the Baha'i Faith. And they're both actually high-ranking, or all three of them are high-ranking in the Baha'i faith in terms of, I guess, congruence and...
I guess it's how much money you donate.
Yeah, it's all about, swag.
Anyway, what I was saying was...
Swagger.
Here he is in a situation where he's climbed the rungs professionally enough that he is in charge of a place. So he no longer has to worry about whether he's fitting in. He's the guy who's other people have to fit in with. So I think he took that leadership position and it got to his head and he thought fully that he's like, oh, nobody's going to criticize me here. I can just be who I am and say what I want to say. This is my set and this is my set culture. And so I'm going to just be loose-lipped and we're going to say things like, hey, that looks sexy. And we're going to say things like, hey, let's bring everybody in for a hug. And then when somebody complains, it's their problem because they're trying to fit in. They need to fit in with me and my culture. Me and Jamie Heath are running this set and you guys need to fit in or you aren't fitting in. Yeah. But what he didn't realize was that as an employer, by law, he has obligations to address people's complaints according to a protocol.
Well, I think I think you actually jumped ahead of the actual problem while at the same time hitting the problem before you moved on, which is that, he didn't really think or believe that what he was doing was wrong or that it was sensitive or that it was, he just didn't, I don't think that he looks through the lens of culpability when it comes to, unless it serves him in some way.
Yeah, because there are people who are like, okay, I've achieved boss status.
Yeah.
This gives me privileges. Especially if you're talking about a movie set, like he has definitely observed how different sets have different set culture. Yeah. So he probably think he could create his own.
Well, I don't know. He hasn't, his experience isn't as vast as it may seem. He was on one show. So, right? He was on that.
No, he also
show.
starred in a movie, but it was like a little thing.
I'm saying it's not as vast as we think. It's not like, he hasn't made 40 movies. He hasn't been on 40 completely, totally different cultures.
No,
he's been on like primarily he's been on a show that lasted a few years, which becomes more like an office day job. There are certainly a number of new people that come into the show, not only just actors, but also crew.
It's true, but all of his friends are actors too. So he probably has like a little bit more, he's like gleaned more experience from them, and
yeah.
I don't know. This is just my theory. I just feel like that's what happened. And that it to me, that explains why he's so fucking loose-lipped.
Yeah.
Like, it's a crazy way to talk in a workplace when you're the boss.
Yeah.
But so I think that he must have just thought that he's in charge, so he gets to decide what's acceptable and what isn't.